Imagine a country smaller than South Carolina suddenly sitting on more oil than Mexico. Now imagine its powerful neighbor hinting it might just take it. Why would the United States quietly step in to protect this tiny place? And why is oil only part of the story? Let's slow this down for a second. Guyana is a small, English-speaking country on South America's northern coast. For most of its history, it was known for sugar, rice, and rainforests, not oil. Venezuela, right next door, is the opposite. It's huge, oil-rich, and has long seen itself as a regional heavyweight. Between them sits a stretch of land called Essequibo, about 2/3 of Guyana's territory. Venezuela has claimed it for decades. Guyana has governed it peacefully. For years, this dispute barely mattered. Then, oil showed up. What's happening right now? In 2015, massive oil discoveries are made just off Guyana's coast. Not small ones, world-class ones. Suddenly, Guyana, population under 1 million, is on track to become one of the fastest-growing oil producers on Earth. Almost overnight, everything changes. Venezuela, already struggling with economic collapse, starts talking louder about its claim to Essequibo. In late 2023, its government even holds a referendum asking citizens if Venezuela should assert control over the region. From the outside, this looks symbolic, but symbols matter. Guyana feels threatened. It doesn't have a big army. It doesn't have decades of wealth. What it has is international law and a lot of oil investment that depends on stability. This is where the United States enters the picture. U.S. naval patrols increase. Military cooperation with Guyana becomes more visible. American officials speak clearly about respecting borders. Here's the key part. Washington isn't promising Guyana protection because it's big or powerful. It's doing it because letting borders change by pressure sets a dangerous example. How we got here. Now, let's jump back. The Essequibo dispute goes back to colonial times. Britain controlled Guyana. Spain, and later Venezuela, controlled the West. An arbitration decision in the late 1800s drew a boundary that favored what is now Guyana. Venezuela never fully accepted it. For decades, the issue stayed mostly quiet. Guyana was poor. The land was remote. There wasn't much to gain. Then Venezuela's own story took a turn. Mismanagement, corruption, and falling oil production pushed millions of Venezuelans into poverty. Many left the country. The government lost credibility abroad and money at home. At the same time, Guyana did something unusual for a new oil state. It stuck closely to contracts. It welcomed foreign companies. It followed court rulings instead of muscle. That matters, because to investors and to countries like the U.S., Guyana started to look like a rare thing, a small country playing by the rules in a very messy neighborhood. For Venezuela's leadership, the temptation is clear. Claiming Essequibo plays well at home. It taps into nationalism. It shifts attention away from daily hardship. Two neighbors, two very different paths. Why it matters. So why should anyone outside South America care? First, energy. Guyana's oil is light, easy to refine, and close to U.S. markets. In a world where energy shocks still hit gas prices and inflation, stable supply matters. Second, precedent. If a larger country can pressure a smaller neighbor into giving up land, especially after valuable resources are found, it sends a signal, not just in South America, but everywhere. Third, alignment. Guyana's partners are mostly Western companies and institutions. If it were destabilized, others would step in. Different investors, different rules, different politics. And finally, geography. Guyana sits near key Atlantic shipping routes and close to the Caribbean, a region the U.S. has always watched carefully. Stability there isn't abstract, it's practical. In one sentence, this story is about a tiny country that struck oil and suddenly found itself at the center of a much bigger game. The United States isn't watching Guyana just because of what's underground. It's watching because how this plays out sends a message about borders, rules, and restraint in a resource-hungry world. The real question isn't who owns the oil. It's whether small countries can stay small and still stay sovereign when something valuable is discovered beneath their feet.